Oh, hello there. This is the TTP Field Manual Podcast. Boy, howdy, do we love tabletop RPGs and war games. Haha, today we are talking about a Warhammer 40k faction Codex review / analysis. We're going to be talking about the Leagues of Votann. I'm Joshy. Joining me is my good old pal, Jonny. How are you, mate?
I'm ready to diggy a hole.
Ready to diggy this hole. You ready to rock this stone, yield these points?
Yeah, let's do it.
Fortify this takeover?
This codex seems like fun. Let's get into it.
It is pretty fun. Today, we're going to have a little bit of a sequence of talking points. We're going to have a brief sort of first impressions. Who are the Leagues of Votann? What's their sort of identity upon the tabletop? We'll then go in and talk about their army rule, prioritized efficiency. We'll then go through the data sheets, starting with their first wave of units. We'll take a brief break for their kill teams, before then coming back into their brand new wave of units. Following that, we'll do their detachments. At some point, we'll have our own 2K army list to break down for you. And if we remember, we'll talk about Crusade.
If we remember.
If we remember. What do you think of that, Jonny? Good flow?
Let's do it.
So, Leagues of Votann, mate. First impressions?
Looks like fun. Very flavorful.
Very flavorful. You were a little cold on them until their recent wave of releases, huh?
Oh, first wave made me go,
Bubble helmets.
Oh, mate. But second wave made me go, ooh.
I'm kind of the opposite. The first wave was enough to make me be like, oh yeah, okay. Still missing the land train, but okay. And then the second wave, I was just like, cool, nice. They've got vision. Wonderful. Can't wait to see what else is coming.
At least you only had to wait a couple of months, like a couple of years before the next wave, right? Instead of missing an edition of your wave.
Who would be experiencing such thing?
Oh, where do we start?
Grey Knights.
Oh,
World Eaters.
Poor Grey Knights.
Imperial Agents Army Rule.
You know, one day they'll get an army rule.
But hey, we're not talking about those suckers.
We're talking about space dwarves.
We do have a World Eaters Codex episode you can go back and listen to and hear our thoughts on that faction. The other two I just mentioned, we don't worry about it. Leagues of Votann. Do you want me to do the whole spiel of who they are and what they do, or would you like that
No, go for it.
honor? All right. So, the Leagues of Votann. Basically a fancy way of saying dwarves in space. They take some of the tropey aspects of dwarves in fantasy, being a little grudgy, focusing on engineering and mining, and being pretty good at it. Also being a little short.
Mate,
In 40k.
as someone who has actually built some of their models, yes, very short is the good way of putting it.
In the actual setting of 40k, the Leagues of Votann were once upon a time one of the founding factions of the game called Squats, before naming conventions got a little more inventive. Squats were around for quite some time until they disappeared from the range. There's always been sort of hearsay in recent years that the Squats were gobbled up by the Tyranids when Warhammer decided to bring Leagues of Votann back as a full-fledged faction. They just made that like one of the various colors of Leagues of Votann, and their associated guild or whatever they call themselves was gobbled. Everyone else is well and truly fine. The Leagues of Votann are descendant from the human race. They are considered abhumans. I'm a little unsure if they were always a bunch of shorties, or if it's the fact that there are essentially a bunch of miners and scientists that were sent to the galactic center, where stars are a lot bigger, gravity's a lot more intense, and then through the dark, the era dark? No, that's not right. You know that 5,000-ish years when the Eldari civilization fell apart and Slaanesh was birthed and all the Astronomicon stuff and the warp for humans was cut off?
Yep.
Yeah, the Votann kind of just settled into their lovely little mining halls and just rided it out. And that took thousands of years. And they probably got a lot shorter because of that. In the current setting, the galactic core is also a neat little pocket of peace from all the aliens and the chaos and the Imperium as a whole, who are a lot more anti-abhumans nowadays. What do you think of that little lore introduction?
I think that's a good little introduction into how we ended up with the Leagues of Votann.
Brilliant. And now on the tabletop, they play a little similar to other Imperium forces. They are like a little semi-elite, much how Space Marines can be semi-elite. Your units might be a little more expensive at the, gift of being maybe a little bit tougher, maybe a couple of more wounds, some pretty decent weaponry. I find it quite humorous, though, that the Leagues of Votann are not afraid of innovating on technology. All of the old human technologies, such as plasma weaponry, they just kept working on them, unlike the Imperium. So, functionally speaking, their weaponry is like humans, but more scientific and high-tech.
They're humans, but they get along with the clankers.
I knew there's a reason I keep you here for jokes, mate.
The Imperium said, filthy clankers.
Filthy clankers. Helldivers to hellpods. Yeah. In the sort of narrative between factions, the Leagues of Votann set themselves up as traders and sometimes mercenaries, depending on their guilds. They have spread technology around from Eldari and Tal to the Imperium as a whole. Especially with the Imperium, they like to keep away because they know full well what the Imperium are capable of when they don't like somebody. So they lead into the guilds, the merchants, the mining, prospecting kind of elements we've already discussed. And it's going to take us into our army rule of prioritized efficiency. So familiar elements of Imperium forces, Space Marines, Guards. They've got a little bit of like a semi-elite aspect to them. They're a bit tougher than what I just mentioned, but we'll definitely notice some through lines. Prioritized efficiency, though, Johnny. Want to tell me about it?
Prioritized efficiency, the army rule for the Leagues of Votann. This is a bit of a lengthy one in terms of what it actually, like the words, but I will attempt to simplify as much as I can. You are going to collect yield points each turn through a number of different means, but the main one being through holding objectives. And as you start to build up these yield points, you will change where your priorities lay and adapt to the current circumstances. So there's kind of like two modes to this army rule. You have the I haven't hit 7 yield points yet, and the I have 7 or more yield points.
7.
And there's a few ways that you can spend these yield points like currency and get extra ones to kind of manipulate which mode is active throughout the course of the game. Obviously, some detachments lean into this a little more than others, but the main way that you get them is you gain 1 yield point for controlling 1 or more objective markers not within your deployment zone. You get 1 for having the one in your deployment zone, and then you can get 1 for having 2 or more objective markers not in your deployment zone, or controlling more objectives. So a maximum of 4 that you can get from your army rule. And as I said, these are currency as well as kind of like a build-up of... what's the word? I guess just a build-up. The ability only... Mate, my brain today. The ability only changes at the start of your command phase. So you can do things in like the end of your opponent's turn to potentially get a couple more or spend a couple more to like adapt. But the two abilities or modes that you have with this army rule are hostile acquisition and fortified takeover. The hostile acquisition gives you +1 to your hit rolls against enemies that are on objective markers, and you also get army-wide reroll advance and charges. Pretty good in the early game. It allows you to get onto the objectives and take them off your opponent.
Oh, yes.
this is the ability that is active as long as you have fewer than 7 yield points at the end of your command phase, sorry, not start, end. Fortified Takeover, on the other hand, is more beneficial when you're on the objectives and need to hold them. You keep that +1 to hit rolls on enemies that are on objectives, but instead of re-rolling advances and charges, you get the subtract 1 from the wound roll of incoming attacks whose strength is greater than your toughness.
I would like to just clarify. Fortified Takeover gives you the +1 to hit if your unit is on the objective attacking out.
Yes, sorry. You are correct.
That's all right, mate. That's what I'm here for.
Essentially what this comes to is make money, spend money. Or don't. Depends on what you need at the time.
Yeah, as you pointed out, some of the detachments and even some of the character abilities will work around either manipulating how much of this you get, but you can also discover ways to spend it if you need a little bit of a boost, which is quite neat.
Yep.
Overall, though, I find that this directs the Leagues of Votann to perhaps be one of the better objective play factions in the game.
Yeah, they have a lot of benefits for getting onto and staying on objectives.
Yeah, a lot of these types of buffs usually baked into detachments for factions rather than
the entire army rule.
So this is really fun. Hostile buffs, the +1 to hit against the objectives or against a unit on an objective have proven very effective in those other detachments, as we've seen with like Necron Starshatter. And overall, I'm really happy that there is a support to both melee and ranged with the re-rolling charges.
Mm-hmm.
And then Fortified Takeover, while it does force you to remain on the objectives, you're probably doing this on like round 3, maybe at the earliest, maybe 2 if you're really aggressive. But they have the thing. They have what I like to call tenacity, the manipulating the wound roll if they're just really strong. And considering your baseline unit is T5, it's pretty good.
Sure is.
When this has come up, for example, with the recent Dark Angels Wrath of the Rock, as a detachment rule, it's become the default detachment choice for that army.
Mm-hmm.
So it's obviously quite powerful.
Yep. I really like this army rule, and it feels much nicer than the old Judgment rules.
Have you noticed a sort of crossfade that happens in a lot of factions? It's like, do you want option A or option B? Oh, look at that, you can swap now.
Yeah.
Like you're in the DJ booth going, hostile, fortify, hostile, fortify, fortify, hostile.
But no, this is sick. I like it. It feels very flavorful. It feels like this like merchant traders takeover kind of vibe. The names with your like hostile acquisition and fortified takeover speak a lot for the lore behind this faction.
Oh yeah, they've done really well with naming things, like with the abilities of the datasheets, with certain detachment stratagems. The naming conventions are on point with this book.
Mm-hmm. For sure. It really goes to show, as we've said in the past, like these later codexes are so well written compared to the earlier ones.
Admech would like a word.
Orcs would like a word.
Oh, Tyranids would like a word. But that will take us into us talking about datasheets now. We're going to start with the sort of wave 1, the box of stuff they began their 40k modern journey with. At this stage, we could say, generally speaking, at least from my perspective, that overall, the like general infantry, averaging a movement of 5 inches, toughness 5. So they do have that sort of semi-elite faction feel around like the Marines aspect. They are a little bit handicapped by the fact that their army rule is going to be granting them +1s to hit on very, specific intentions, objective play. And if you're not playing to the army rule, unfortunately, their weapon skill, ballistic skill does feel very swingy, with most people defaulting to a 4+.
Oh, yeah.
But the arsenal itself does actually feel really flexible. Most, roles of damage output exist in this faction, and even your basic infantry have a lot of options for gun. Not so much knife, but lots of gun. And it isn't until really the second wave that we really start to see a bit of divergence in theme for a lot of the Leagues of Votann stuff, but I do like what we get to start with.
First wave of weird Martian bubble vehicles.
You're not a fan of the early Space Age style aesthetic, are you?
No, not really.
I do like the bubble helmets, but I don't like the weird lunar rover tires. I would much have preferred those vehicles, like the big one, to have treads.
Yep.
But if you don't have anything else to contribute to what I just said, my mates, we can go straight into, I think, Hearthkyn Warriors.
You want to start with the battle line.
I have a bit of a story to paint here with our data sheets, and I think battle line's always a pretty decent place to start off. Have a little look at what's going on with our bread and our butter.
Alright, go on.
Alright, so the Hearthkyn Warriors, squad of 10, 100 points. I find that these folks are going to be more or less the pinnacle of your playstyle for Leagues of Votann. Lots of options with various weaponry keywords, as I alluded to already. Their sergeant has an interesting war gear ability called the Weave Field Crest, which ties into like dwarven runes a little bit, which is going to give the unit an invulnerable 5, combined with the fact that they are toughness 5 and have a baked-in Feel No Pain 6. I think the Hearth can have quite a lot of survivability.
Hanky boys.
And they have 2 abilities. They have sticky objectives, which has a really fun lore-based motto. Luck has, need keeps, toil earns, aka sticky objective. And just by default rerolls hit rolls of 1. So I would be taking these, at least one squad, for just that sheer utility.
These guys are fantastic. They also get 3 heavy weapons in total.
And there's a few options.
Yeah. Sorry, 2 heavy weapons, plus the leader getting a cool pistol.
A cool pistol. Revolver ocelot meme.
But no, these guys are pretty cool. You've got 2 options for your weapons. You can either have the pretty standard bolter, or you can have their like slightly more elite killing ion blaster. And then from there you get a couple of different heavy weapon options depending on what you want to do, right? So you can either bring the plasma beamer if you're chasing that like casino cannon vibe with its sustained hits D3, strength 8, 3 AP, 2 damage. Or you could bring your rotary cannon, which is your like big heavy weapon that has 6 attacks with sustained hits 1 and heavy.
Ooh, I'm glad you mentioned the rotary cannon. There's a little thing to consider with the rotary cannon.
Yep.
If I may, real quick.
I know what you're going to say, and you're going to beat me to it. Go for it.
If you know what I'm going to say, you're more than welcome to say it for me. All right.
Spit it out.
So, one of the kill teams a few years ago was Hearthkyn Salvagers, and they don't have their own data sheet. They're basically just Hearthkyn Warriors, but they have a big rotary cannon, so it's now in the war gear. But if you bought just a regular box of Warriors, you'd be like, where the fuck's my rotary cannon? It's in kill team, mate.
It is not quite what I was going to get at, so I'm glad we had different things.
A little more calm about it.
What I was going to get at was the fact that heavy doesn't stack with their army rule. Because they both add 1 to the hit roll, just something to think about. Like, it doesn't go from 5s to 3s, it will only ever go from 5s to 4s.
Unfortunately for the rotary cannon man, or woman.
Just something to think about. But no, these guys are very tanky, and a lot of the original wave of characters can lead them, meaning that your characters are fairly safe.
Yep, absolutely.
I do like this.
I'm a big fan of the L7 missile launcher, which their blast profile in lore is actually shooting 7 rockets. But if you're not getting the blast keyword, you're only shooting D6 rockets, so not very canon of it.
Not a cannon, it's a missile launcher.
Oh,
Wait.
mate.
I'm a big fan of
Rude.
the Magna Rail Rifle with its D3 plus 3 devastating wounds.
Yeah, let's take the las cannons with us into battle.
And make them better.
Oh, the guns are just better across the board. The plasma beamer has sustained hits and no hazardous because they decided that wasn't very safe, so they fixed it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And then they just hit worse because they had to balance it out somewhere, right?
It's because they're really short. They have to aim up a little bit, and that's quite difficult in a war zone to also aim up and run, turns out.
These guys are great. Where would you like to go to next?
Oh, I was just going to say, do you think it's hard for them to aim because they have to smush their lens up against that huge bubble helmet?
Fucking bubble helmet.
Do you remember when we did Space Wolves, Jonny, we were giving things report card marks?
Oh, no. Yeah, I remember.
I did that. I did that.
It's your turn,
I was inspired.
Go on.
Oh, yeah. I give Hearthkyn Warriors A for Autok Pattern Bolter.
Ah. Ugh, Bolter. No, you gotta go with the Ion Blaster, right?
Yeah, but unless you're versing maybe Marines, I would still want to keep maybe the Autok Pattern Bolter for volume of shots.
Fair.
And save the lethality for other units.
This is fair.
Before we get into some of the characters, I would like to now compare what happens when a Hearthkyn Warrior decides to go and be a Hearthguard.
Oh, these poor guys. Yep.
The Einhyr Hearthguard. I'm a little less hot on the Einhyr Hearthguard than the Hearthkyn Warrior.
Yep.
But I will say that they are pretty cool. They are your so-called Terminator, Exo Armor. Exo Armor is actually what they're called. Terminator variant of the kin. They have a lot more melee presence and will benefit from a lot of the similar traits to the Hearthkyn, such as the Sergeant having a crest, but instead of the invuln save default choice, you also get a deep strike option, a teleporting crest, so that's cool. You get that teleport Homer Terminator vibe. They don't get feel no pain, however, but their save is a 2+. So on the whole, going to be a little bit harder to take down. Feel no pain 6-up is quite swingy, but you will definitely notice its absence from time to time. You've got some cool guns and weapons. For example, more of those plasma guns without hazardous to be seen. Really fun. They have a few melee weapons. Concussion gauntlets will shred elites with their AP2 damage 2. The plasma guns have an AP3 damage 2. There are alternatives such as plasma blade gauntlets and vulcanite disintegrators if you're wanting to throw them into hordes. But for the fact they are 135 points for 5 models, I would be kitting these guys out to try and trade up at every moment possible.
Yeah. Here is my problem.
What's your problem, mate?
You have to choose between Deep Strike or the invuln save. This is what really let me down about these guys. I was pretty keen for like Terminators with those cool ass plasma guns, but considering these guys have more armor than the Warriors, but have the same toughness and no feel no pain, and then on top of that, if you want them to Deep Strike, no invuln save.
It's quite risky, isn't it?
For an extra 35 points for half the dudes. I don't see a time that I'm picking these over the battle line.
I getcha.
As cool as Graviton Hammer is, but you only get one in the unit.
Even the amount of attacks they can put out will be a little bit swingy as well. If you're enabling prioritized efficiency, you might be hitting on 2s, 3s if you've got the hammer, but you might not be wanting to throw them into an objective. Maybe you really need to get like a tank or some elite infantry off the board. They might not necessarily be on an objective, and whoopee.
Then that's my big problem. At least if they're not on the objective, they're still hitting on 3s for the most part. But yeah, nah, I'm not sold.
Yeah.
I'm not sold.
That's fair. I gave these guys a B- for bonk battle line.
Yep.
But, however, I really did begin to consider them when I looked at their, unique character that's designed to power up with the Hearthguard.
The Einhyr Charm.
The Einhyr Charm. I really started to think about Hearthguard in a positive light when considering lumping him with them for a very particular reason.
Yeah, this is definitely adds to their potential, and I do like this guy. The question is, are you going to spend 205 points for this gentleman? and his friends. But go on. What got you attracted to the Einhyr champion?
Well, look, a 70-point investment definitely turns my nose up when needing to go with a unit I'm not so hot on. But he's 70 points, and he brings an eye-watering damage with either his elite-killing Darkstar Axe or his handheld las cannon hammer.
His handheld las cannon hammer? Yep.
Yeah. But then, if you look at his actual abilities, his Exemplar of the Einhyr, you get to add to the advance and charge rolls made for the unit. If you're in hostile acquisition, you have rerolls baked in, which is always a problem with deep striking melee units, is that you just have to command reroll the 9-inch charge all the time. Now you get to, by default, potentially reroll an 8-inch charge.
Yep.
So that's good. And he does get a cute little mortal wound bomb. But what's really taken my interest is that he also gets to choose between the crest. Except his Weavefield crest is a 4-up invuln rather than the regular Hearthguard's 5. Now, unfortunately, it's limited to the bearer has a 4-up invulnerable save. But you can give him the teleport crest, and you give the Hearthguard their 5-up invuln crest. Suddenly, you can do both things, and you have a reliable buff to getting into the fight. And he's got quite the damage output. I still don't know if it makes the Hearthguard like a must take, but if you have them, I wouldn't feel too bad about slotting, this 6-unit, 200-point mob into my deep strike just in case.
Yeah, and this guy is the only reason that I feel that people might pick up Hearthguard. And as you did allude to, you probably give this guy the deep strike ability, because his friends can all have that 5-up, including this guy if your opponent tries to precision you. And by the time they wipe out the other 5 guys, this guy's probably dead anyway and not really taking advantage of his 4-up invuln anyway. I still think it's really weird, though. They have more armor than the battle line, but no more toughness.
That does feel like a weird oversight, considering that some of their more shirtless friends, which we'll get to, do have toughness 6.
Yep.
Yep. Bit of an oversight there. They could have done the Death Guard thing and give him 7.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Or even given them the 6.
Am I inspiring you to give them report cards yet?
No, but what have you got for this guy?
Taking him at the value he provides for 70 points when comparing him to other characters, I gave him an A- for a really heavy hammer.
It is a really heavy hammer. It definitely
but
is.
He obviously is pulled down by a B-, in my opinion, Hearthguard unit, but, on his own merits, pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. Can I throw you for a loop and choose the next unit?
Please.
I want to do this mainly to compare them to the last one we spoke about and talk about the Brokhyr Thunderkyn and their specific leader.
All right. Why not? What do you have to say about the Thunderkyn, my friend?
I think, personally, this is just a better option than the Hearthguard, if you're looking for something shooty.
Yes, definitely a opposite side of the coin there.
Yeah, there's definitely some less of the melee, but these guys have some pretty fun guns. They are also toughness 6 instead of 5, so the armor kind of feels like it does something, and they remove the benefit of cover from anyone they shoot, which can be useful for your other units afterwards. The key thing I want to talk about is the fact that these guys come with conversion beamers or graviton blast cannons.
We love those things.
Because conversion is always a fun keyword. So how do you feel about lethal hits on 4s?
I feel really good about it.
With a 2 AP 3 damage weapon. Or how do you feel about anti-monster, anti-vehicle 3s with 2 AP and 3 damage?
I feel really good about it.
These guys are sick. I think these guys are great. I like the models. They feel very shooty, but you do only get 3 of them for 80 points.
I do like their exo frame style compared to
really
just
cool.
Thick armor. They're not that short anymore.
They got stilt. Part of the reason I wanted to talk about these guys is because of their boss man as well.
You love that guy, eh?
The Brokhyr Iron Master.
Yep.
Who comes with friends as well.
So many friends.
This dude comes with 4 friends, meaning that 3 mob is now a 7 mob. This guy is interesting. He has a couple of play styles. You can just run him as his little unit, and he can just like trudge on along with his lone op when he's near a vehicle or Ironkin unit. But the main reason that I want to run him with the Thunderkyn is because he gives them the ability to reroll their wound rolls of 1 as well, which just increases the amount of damage that can get put out. On top of that, he also has the ability to heal vehicles, Ironkin, or the exoframes that he is with to really just keep them alive a bit longer. The only issue I have with these 2 units is that they're missing that invuln save.
Yeah, it's very noticeable.
Yeah. And how often do you see a character with a worse save than the unit they lead?
Not often. You'd think maybe the ECOG little drones he has would offer some sort of shield.
Something,
but,
right?
No, they just have a weird smattering of gun and melee.
Yep. And then his assistant is the one that does the healing. But no, I really like these guys. They're cool. The models look sick. You get like 3 little robot dudes and a big fat assistant that follows him around.
I love the little assistant dudes that pop up in this army. They're so cute.
Yeah, right? They give me Tau drone vibes, but cuter.
We love drones. Here's my thoughts.
Okay, go on.
So your Thunderkyn are obviously your anti-elites and anti-vehicle tech in the army.
Mm-hmm.
They can definitely punch up into the greats of anti-elite infantry. Anti-elite infantry / anti-vehicle, like Space Marine Eradicators, for example.
Yep.
But they're so lacking in defensive profile, it's a little uncomfortable for me. You'd probably keep them in like a transport and just pop them out when you really need to just shoot something.
Yep.
I would consider running a small unit of them with beamers against infantry for the guaranteed lethals. But then if I'm going to be trying to take down like vehicles, I might consider more so a big brick with the gravitons. So you go max unit size just for the volume of fire. But then I'm not so fond of like their breaching fire ability. Like the benefit of cover stripping is good. I would really like it if I was running like the bolt cannon, more horde infantry weapon.
Mm.
But if I'm trying to take down very specific elites or vehicles, it feels more just like a tiny little treat at the end of shooting rather than a ability I would personally be relying upon.
That is fair.
The Brokhyr Ironmaster, I really like his aesthetic. He's really fun. And he feels really good leading the big Thunderkyns, especially Gravitons, because if you're running beamers, if you're getting that lethal hits, you're not rolling your wounds anyway.
Yeah.
So I would be putting him with the big Thunderkyn Gravitons, and at that point, I'm starting to wonder if the point value is worthwhile for their lack of defense. But, you know, it's one of those things where you have to, like, play them and see what ends up happening.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm not even sure why you would put him with the Hearthkyn Warriors, maybe just to, like, shield him as he runs up the board healing things. But one thing that really catches me off is he doesn't return models to the unit.
No.
He just heals them.
And Thunderkyn do only have 2 wounds.
Yeah. So it's hard to rely on him, in my eyes, a 75 pointer, if you were trying to bring units back to full strength, because he's not going to be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really into this whole Brokhyr style to the faction.
I like the look of them. I think they look
the guild
really
of
nice.
them, yeah. I give the Thunderkyn a B for weapons that make your opponent go brah, to which you say, actually, mate, it's Brokhyr. And then for the Ironmaster, I'm a little less hot. I give him a B- for bruh. What are ECOGs even for?
What are ECOGs even for? They're for the display. Alright, where would you like to talk about next?
I would like to compare more of the characters.
Yeah, let's
How do you feel about taking us into the Kahls?
Kahl? But Kahl, that kills people.
I don't know, does he?
I don't know, does he?
I don't know.
Key thing to note, this gentleman can lead your Hearthguard if you wish, and can give them that deep strike and invuln save.
True.
Which does mean that if for some reason... He also does just have a baked-in 4-up, So even when his friends die, he doesn't lose that invuln save.
But he doesn't have the hammer.
He
just has
doesn't.
a piddly glove.
Or an axe, which is
Yeah,
worse.
but
It's
strength 8, mate.
You say it's just a glove. It's essentially a power fist.
No, it's a glove. Yeah, no, I know. It's a
He
power
does
fist.
also
It's
get
good.
a disintegrator.
Man, I don't know what people are smoking when they are like, I love Vulcanite disintegrators. AP 0? You're just hunting dev wounds.
I have a problem with guns that have AP 0. They just never feel like they do anything when everyone's saving on 2s and 3s. But the reason you bring this guy is for his yield point generation. He does also give lethal hits, but at this point, that's not that big a deal. Especially when you're adding lethal hits to his Vulcanite disintegrator and then it doesn't get its dev wounds.
Yeah, true. Oh no.
The fact that this guy can generate extra YP when its unit destroys an enemy unit means that you might want to put him with the Hearthguard, at least a mob, just so that they can kill something for him.
Mm-hmm. I agree. But I don't want to take a Kahl over the champion.
No, you're probably only running one, if that. And frankly, I feel like there's easier ways to get yield points that don't require a guy that does nothing to do something.
There's a lot of other strategies you could go down for YP generation.
Yes, Kahl doesn't kill people.
This Kahl doesn't kill people. I find him a bit awkward at 70 points, to be honest. He's a little more broad in his usage, though, as you've alluded to. The boosting of yield points is fun, especially if you're trying to get into Fortify quickly. But, outside of the Hearthguard, I don't know if the Warriors are going to get the job done, to be honest.
Yeah.
Even with lethals.
Yeah.
But then, if I'm trying to run Hearthguard, I would feel much better bringing the champion for the boosted charge.
Yeah.
So I'm not really hot on Kahl.
It's hard to look at this guy when you compare him to what the other characters have. Because frankly, I think he's probably the worst character in the army.
I give him a C+ for cresting greatness.
There's a couple more characters from the original wave that we can talk about. Specifically an epic hero or two. Actually, he doesn't count as an epic hero, does he? We have the Grimnyr and we have the Uthar, who is an epic.
Uthar. We can go to Uthar.
Uthar the Destined.
Uthar the Destined.
I gotta say, this guy slaps. I'm pretty happy with this guy.
Much better. Very fun.
Yeah, this guy has a sick looking sword on his model. Just want to put it out there.
Blade of the Ancestors.
The little short plasma sword.
It's the blade of the ancestors, mate. Come on. Show some respect.
And he is also rocking that, exosuit style armor. Specifically, is not an exosuit keyworded model, but he does get that 4-up invuln. That tasty 4-up.
He's committing the cardinal sin, Johnny.
Which one?
No hat, no play.
Mate.
Dude's just gonna get shot in the face.
Don't understand why you would go into battle without your helmet on.
Imagine the drip that a named Votann space dwarf could have for a hat.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Look at his crest on the back. It's like, what, a wolf head that in the mouth it's holding tassels?
Tassels, dude.
Imagine he had a giant wolf helmet.
I don't understand why GW keeps doing this thing where they have these cool epic heroes and they don't give us a head option with a helmet.
Helmets are so much cooler than whatever, cracked bearded bald guy's head they give us.
What if I told you this gentleman has head options and none of them are helmeted?
Oh. I mean, he's coming in the Kahl kid, isn't he? You just bring the helmet.
Steal a helmet off someone else, right?
Let's see. You know what would be a really cool helmet for this guy?
Which one?
Look up the Warcry Warband Vulcan Flameseekers.
Here we go.
Here we go.
How did I know that at some point in this video someone would mention Age of Sigmar Fire Slayers?
Vulcan Father, or whatever his name is, with the humongous beard and the humongous crested helmet. Oh my gosh.
Good luck fitting that on his armor.
It'd be great if it works.
You might have to get the old lighter out and melt some plastic a little bit so you can bend it around.
Uthar the Destined, 25 point tax to actually have a good Kahl. Probably worth taking alongside a regular Kahl, however, so that you can try and proc Ancestral Fortune more reliably without handicapping your own fortifying takeover thing. Because Ancestral Fortune, you can spend a yield point to change one hit roll, wound roll, or one saving throw made for this model to an unmodified 6. Combined with the Grim Efficiency, I would say you want him on the board rather than holding in Deep Strike with a Hearthguard. So, lead a Hearthkyn brick, transport up the field.
Yep.
Keep him nearby to discount a CP.
He's got that, typical Lord vibe.
But he does only have an invuln save crest, which is good if you are running Hearthguard, because you can get the teleport strike as well. Really does help against baking in some protection against someone precisioning out the person with the crest. Because then you got another one.
He himself already has a 4-up save.
Yeah, but this crest gives it to the unit.
Yeah.
The Ancestral Fortune ability, I think 1 yield point to change a hit roll, win roll, save throw is a bit of an investment, to be honest, and I would only really keep it in my pocket for a dev wound weapon such as his blade, or maybe a Hearthkyn Magna Rail, or an L7 focus 6 damage, except you can't do it for damage, so it's a Magna Rail or his blade.
Hold on. It's only for him, which means
Oh,
your option
fuck.
is
Yeah, the blade.
your blade or your Disintegrator, which are both devastating wound weapons. So you're obviously using it on the wound roll.
Ignore my Magna Rail comment. Just put him with the Hearthguard, get him into melee,
But
stab someone with a sword.
I think for a 1 yield point usage, I think it's not too bad. If you're looking to mess around with how many yield points you have, or if you're already in the zone you want to be and don't mind spending one.
Oh, yeah.
There's a time and a place for it. It would be nice if he had a little bit more damage to throw around with that 6, but 2 damage is still, you might still kill someone.
Man, I was so hyped on the Magna Rail dev wound that I just completely overlooked for this model, part of the rule.
Yeah. It would be very good if you could give it to someone else. But no, this guy's cool. I like him. I like his sword.
I give him a B. B for blessing us with CP.
Well, that just leaves Grimnyr as the last of the original wave heroes.
Oh yeah, Mr. Grimnyr. You like this guy, eh?
This guy was the only model from the first wave. I was like, hey, that's pretty damn cool. But I do have to say, he's a bit weird in the army. Kind of feels like a totally different vibe. When you look at a lot of their stuff and then you see him, you're like, what do you mean my space colonists have a wizard?
In the lore, old Grimmy here is the speaker for the Votann ancestor cause.
Yeah, he's like the old sage.
So he talks to the computer.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have anything like that in the rules. He just shows up and gives his unit a feel no pain.
Which don't say anything too bad about a feel no pain 5, which changes your warriors to a 5 instead of a 6.
Yeah, normally I'm not too hot on the whole flipping the battle shock of a unit, but in a faction that wants to gain yield points for being on an objective,
it could be handy.
I think he has a place.
Yeah, and you can't go wrong with a focused Witchfire, alright?
Here's my written notes.
Yeah, go
How
on.
does this guys have more wounds than a Kahl? To offset the anti-psych attacks? ? Not necessarily auto-include, but a welcome one, or possibly 2, if running multiple Hearthkyn due to his Feel No Pain 5-up and keeping old Grimmy's regard in pocket to maintain the objective control, because not only are you getting victory points, but yield points. That's double resources, Jonny. That's yields.
As you said, he has a place. You kind of sit him as a support piece. He's buffing your Hearthkyn more than they're helping him. He gives me Master of Possession vibes.
I wish he was 60 points, not 65.
Yeah.
He does have a good role, and I don't mind him, even though he's a little bit of an outlier. I give him an A- actually, for Autok Pattern Librarian.
Nice. Alright. Autok Pattern Librarian, I like that.
We have a few more.
Yeah, and these are all the new guys, right?
Let's finish wave 1 out, eh? Let's finish wave 1. We got no more characters.
Yeah.
but we got some other units, 4 to be exact. I am pretty sure. 4 to the floor, I'm sure. We have a couple of transports, some bikey boys, and some shirtless men.
And some shirtless men.
Who do you want to go with? Sagitaur?
I was gonna say let's save the vehicles for now. We'll talk about the shirtless men.
Shirtless men.
Because then that rounds us out with the bikers and the big one, right?
Shirtless men.
Cthonian Beserks. In a world where everyone is wearing armors, these guys forgot to pack their shirts.
And for their efforts, they get T6.
Wears less armor, gets more toughness. But they are still 1 wound, so they die real easy if you get past that toughness.
That's my biggest issue.
A 5-up save and a 4-up feel no pain.
What the fuck's the point of a feel no pain 4-up if people are slugging like 3 damage into them and they got 1 wound?
Yep.
What's the point of that?
These guys have a place. It's in the detachment that cares about them.
Bloody berserks. These guys need combat. They need to be delivered into combat, especially because they're 100 points.
Yep.
For 5 wounds.
Yep. But hey,
you could chuck 200 into some bring it downs though, with their concussion walls.
Yeah, these guys are weird. It's strange that they get a fight on death, but only if you're in fortified takeover. And then they get anti-fire Overwatch tech, which I don't know about you, but they'll just fire Overwatch with someone else, right?
I would consider that when you are trying to line up another unit to get into place, because it's an indirect fire weapon. So let's say you're versing Thousand Suns, and they got a bunch of heavy flamers on an objective, and you're wanting to get like Einhyr champion or whatever, and his boys onto that objective to go beat up the scarabs. Well, you no longer have to worry about the flamethrower because your shirtless men just shot an underground bomb at them. Not bad.
I do like the mole grenade launcher vibe. It's kind of silly, but it does mean that, only 4 of your 5 dudes actually have a proper melee weapon.
Yeah. I'm struggling to like these guys on their own merits, if I'm being honest. I like them. I see the point. Even though they're not my aesthetic, I see the point to them. But just on their own sims? I don't know, eh?
Yeah, nah. I'm not sold.
Both the Chthonians and maybe even the Grimnyr could have benefited from their own little epic hero, or, well, the Chthonians could have just had a hero to begin with.
Yeah, the fact that no one can lead these guys.
Yeah, the Hearthkyn and the Hearthguard have dedicated leaders, but Chthonians? Nah.
So what's your rating?
They do have some good melee, and I do think that grenade launcher will come in clutch sometimes. Feel No Pain 4 always excites me, but they only just barely scraped into the B- for me. But bring it, Grandpa. Hernkyn Pioneers. Oh my god, Johnny. A+, no notes. Scouts 9. Uppy Downy. 12-inch movement. T6. 80 points. Sign me up, Johnny. Let's secure these assets and let's yield these points.
These guys are interesting.
Yeah, go on then.
I think it's really weird how many options you have for these guys, because they can either have a rotary cannon, an ion beamer, or they can have a multi-wave comms array, pan-spectral scanner, or roll bar searchlight. You kind of build one as like a buff piece, while the other 2 have, weapons. Or two of them with a buff piece, and one with whichever big gun you want to carry around, whether that be the rotary cannon or the ion beamer.
I like the ion weapons except for damage 1.
Yeah. The damage 1 really lets it down. For these guys, it's probably the rotary cannon that you're taking. These guys are really good. I like them. It's too bad that I don't like the model.
Oh, don't you? Is it the funny tires?
It's the funny tires.
The weird contact point inverted fans. Seen some cool things though where people kit bashed them onto like waves of sand or something, so that they actually have like a dynamic looking base rather than whatever it is they're going for there. Holy shit. Just saw a Etsy posting of a painted 3 squad of them for $400, mate.
Oh, damn.
Don't buy that. Do it yourself.
Don't buy that.
Are you confused about something, mate?
I was, but I solved my problem, so it's okay.
Good job. So your issue with these guys is the model itself.
Yeah, they're very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Hernkyn seem to be doing quite well in this army, I must admit.
Yes, the Hernkyn have some cool stuff going on, which we will get to more of very soon.
Yeah, but we have 2 more units from Wave 1.
The vehicles.
The baby transport and the big transport.
So we have the Sagitaur.
Oh, Sagittarius, eh? Mate, I think this transport, realistically, it's only for the Hearthkyn Warriors.
Yeah.
It offers, like, one of my all-time favorite abilities of splitting an objective securing unit into 2. If I were to adopt, like, a Prioritised strategy here, I would consider adding, like, Uthar to the non-transported half so that his actual profile is slim and you could hide him so he gets his little CP discount aura a bit more aggressively. And then maybe add a Grimnyr to the half that's been put into the transport so you have the Feel No Pain 5-up aggressively expansionist objective securing unit. But even if you don't do that, splitting a unit in 2 is also just pretty neat. The transport also is pretty cheap for the fact it has a couple of high damage weapons it can take.
Yeah.
But its ability, its Blistering Advance,
I love this ability.
It's really fun. It can advance, but then your disembarking unit from that can no longer charge. So when I'm reading like Beserks, I'm like, fuck, I need to put them in a transport and get them in really quickly. And then the Sagitaur's like, yeah, we can do that for you, but not the Beserks.
Yeah. The key thing is that it allows you to advance, and then your unit can get out and perform an action or shoot. So it helps get your Hearthkyn into a position they want to be in.
Absolutely.
And more importantly, it has wheels.
The wheels look fine on the Sagitaur. Not so much on the next one, though.
Do you mean the same wheels don't look so good on the next one?
Yeah. I think the Sagitaur looks great.
The Sagitaur looks fine.
The Hekaton needs
It needs something.
Some treads. It needs some treads.
But what was your rating for the Sagitaur before we move on to the Land Fortress?
Sagitaur, B+ for Barrel of Action Monkeys.
Nice. Now, while it looks a little weird, the Hekaton Land Fortress is pretty damn good.
Huge.
It's just strange to me that it has the same number of wheels as the Sagitaur.
This is the hill you're dying on.
And they're the same wheels, but it's like at least 3 to 4 times as big.
What do you want instead? Do you want the Pioneer fan hover things?
I sure don't.
Okay.
No, they should have gone with like the swamp hybrid vehicle, just big floating pad.
Oh.
Just a big air blanket under it. That would have been silly as.
They just show up with those Primaris floating tank equipments, and Imperium's like, hold on, wait a sec. Where'd you get that? We built it ourselves. You built it? That's some heresy. Yeah, we use our AI computers to design it. Ah!
So, this guy has some guns.
Oh, yes. Big gun.
He has big gun. You get a choice of 3 big guns. You can either have the Cyclic Ion Cannon, which is a D6 plus 2 attacks with Blast, Strength 7, 2 AP, 2 damage. You can have the Heavy Magna Rail Cannon, which having a vehicle with a 10-inch move that has the heavy keyword kind of makes me sad inside. Because isn't that the whole reason you stuck it on a tank? Which is your 18 strength, AP 4, D6 plus 4 damage with devastating wounds and heavy.
Very swingy, mate. Very swingy.
Or you have the SP Heavy Conversion Beamer, which has heavy in the name but doesn't have the keyword. This is your crits on 4s at range for lethal hits with strength 10 to AP 4 damage. And this is the option I'm probably going with. Because if I'm bringing a big tank, you better believe I'm sticking a big gun on it.
You then have a Wargear option, right? And you always keep the Panspectral Scanner because one-shot warheads are just not worth it, eh?
Oh man, after last night.
Deathstrike Supremacy.
You have the choice between the re-rolling hit rolls of 1 or a one-shot 2 damage warhead. But it does have D6 plus 3 attacks with Blast.
Man, if you roll 1 on that d6, and you will, it'll feel real bad.
But in saying that, at least it's still 4 attacks, unlike someone else's one-shot guns.
Wow, rude. The Hekaton Warhead, I think, pairs nicely with the Ion Cannon for just damage output.
Yeah.
However, I would say. But the Hekaton also does get to have other guns.
It just feels unnecessary when you've got one big gun and 2 little guns already. But no, it's alright.
It's alright.
It's alright.
The twin bolt cannons will pop off, though. Sustain hits 2 on 6 shots. It will pop off.
With twinling.
2 damage.
For once, I'm actually excited by a bolter.
All we had to do was go to Squat Town.
On top of that, it also gets a transport capacity. So you can carry 14 Votann infantry models. And this one can also carry Exos armor, Exoframes, and Steeljacks inside.
Unfortunately, no firing deck. That's sad.
Which is weird. The Sagitaur also has no firing deck.
Yeah, they gotta protect the insides.
Yeah, exactly. The dwarves can't stand up and reach out the roof.
On their tippy toes, trying to peer outside with their humongous beamers.
But what rating would you give to our Hekaton land fortress?
Oh, I have a soft spot for the Hekaton land fortress. I give it an A for all infantry welcome inside the party bus.
All infantry welcome inside the party bus.
Yeah, but 240 points. Land fortress? How about land raid your yields, more like?
Ooh.
Find it pretty tough. It's got some great firepower. If you're fighting things with invulnerables, maybe bring your conversion and keep out range. But literally anything without that invuln, go swingy, mate. Bring out the Magna Rail cannon, the heavy one.
You lost me at a heavy weapon, dude.
It'll go well, I swear.
Don't move.
All the fellows inside are like, knock, knock. Can we get close now? Can we go fight? And the dude's like, I gotta line up my shot real quick, hold on.
I mean, the heavy only really matters when they're not on an objective. If you focus on enemies on the objective, yeah, you can keep walking. Tracking up.
They're rolling, they don't have treads.
Yeah, they just have little wheels. Little baby wheels.
Alright, that's wave 1. The things they started off with. Must admit, though, not too bad of a way to start an army.
Yeah, it was fine.
It was fine.
But wave 2
maybe,
really helped, solidify their position. Wave 1 was their hostile acquisition. Wave 2 is their fortify takeover.
I see what you did there. I'm a little not conflicted, but when they announced the wave 2, I was like, cool, look at all those units. And then the units came out and they got their rules. And I find that they're all just optional picks for the most part. None of them scream auto includes for me, which is fine.
Dude.
You want options.
You're so wrong.
Well, it depends on how you're building your list, ultimately.
We will get there. I'll make a believer of you very soon, alright?
Alright, I'm open-minded.
Where would you like to begin?
A slight detour for Kill Team Hernkyn Yaegirs, perhaps.
Oh, yeah. Hernkyn Yaegirs,
Oh, yeah.
They're fun.
Yeah, infiltrators, reactive moves, precision weapon. Jonny, let's secure these assets. Let's yield these points.
On top of that, this was the first Votann models that came out, and I was like, hey, those guys are pretty cool looking. There's something about a dwarf in a trench coat that just gets me going.
Mm-hmm.
These guys have runaway shenanigans. They can move away from the enemy. They get the grenades keyword. They have infiltrator. What is not to like?
I know, right? Hernkyn Pioneers and Yaegirs are pretty tuned, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. Hernkyn got all the good stuff. Do enjoy. You get a APM launcher, which is a big anti-monster, anti-vehicle rocket launcher. You can get the magma coil rifle to have a sniper rifle. No, these guys are sick. I like them. And then the rest get shotguns.
Who doesn't love shotguns?
Right? What rating did you give them, though?
I give them an A for a single note. Trench coats do not save you against AP2.
Yeah, the lack of a save is rough.
Yeah. Wow.
Keep them in cover, please. Remember, go to ground.
Jonny, how about I take your trench coats and I offer you something? What if we combine the Sagitaur splitting the Hearthkyn Warriors idea. What if we take the Hernkyn Jaegers infiltrating idea and we gift to you a Kapricus carrier?
Oh man, I really like this vehicle.
Except for the flying fans.
Except for the flying fans. And this is a dual build kit. You either get what we're going to talk about first, the carrier, or you get the defender, which can be run in a unit of 2.
Like the defenders.
This is turning your Hernkyn Jaegers up to 11. The fact that you can split them. Everyone in the transport gets firing deck, because it's got firing deck 5 and scout 9. So you stick half of them into your opponent's deployment zone with their sniper rifle and probably their heavy weapon, and then all your shotgun boys get on board and go for a ride.
Drive-by shotguns.
And then it's got the one of the suppress abilities, so after you shoot, you be like, hey, now you get -1 to hit.
I'm just having flashbacks to Speed Freaks with smoke clouds and suppression effect.
Yeah, man. This is fantastic. I'm a big fan of the Kapricus carrier. Hernkyn got all the best stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately they're not very lethal, but boy howdy are they fun for doing everything else.
Yeah, super cool. Good little scouting unit. They get in, they get around. It's like a rhino on steroids, but not near as tanky.
I'm a big fan of both Kapricus. Carrier I do really like for what it does. Depending on my list though, I'm wondering to myself if spending 75 points to create another small objective unit is what I need. So it's not a bad unit, but I don't know if it's an auto-include unit. But if you're playing a very objective-focused mission, oh hell yeah, bring them. Why not? I give them B for better objective plays.
On the flip side, we have the Defender. We'll come back to the ranking. This also still keeps that Scout 9, but it gets a move after it shoots, meaning it can pop out around a corner, shoot your opponent, and then get back into cover if you need it to, or can continue on to its objective.
So fun. So good.
And you can stick it with a buddy, and they can just roll up the board together.
It's so fun.
I love this guy,
and he's got the little dude on the back.
Yeah.
He's got the little drone dude on the back. He's so cute.
It really is. No, I really like these guys. The Kapricus models, while they have those stupid pod bloody hover pads, the datasheets are very good and a lot of fun for 70 points.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, I like it a lot. As if I haven't said that already.
So what did you give the 2 Kapricus units for a rating though?
Well, I already said I gave the carrier a B for better objective play.
Yep.
The defender I gave B for broadside Hernkyn suit.
Broadside Hernkyn suit. This is what you have to do to get your toughness 7.
I am a big fan of the defender. There it is again. Interesting mobile turret with good movement that really puts those Iron Hand things to shame. Ha! Depending on how many Magna Rails are in the army, I would consider 1 to 2 of these, and that's not even saying if I'm taking 1 model or 2 models in the unit. That reactive move, the move shoot move, whilst it's D6, decent chance you're not rolling a 1 or a 2, and you can just scoot out of the way.
Yeah. Another way to think about it, you zoom up the board, you shoot someone off the objective, and then you get on it.
Also very true. I'm not a very aggressive player, so I didn't even consider that, but that's a good idea.
We'll turn you into an aggressive player one day.
When I play, I don't know, Space Wolves.
Ah, Space Wolves.
Ah.
In my Xenos episode?
In your Abhumans episode? Where to next, Johnny? I think you're quite a fan of this wave of units. Do you want to direct us?
Sure. Let's start next with the Cthonian Earthshakers. Then we will move on to the last of the infantry before talking about some of the new characters.
Not the Earthshakers.
These guys are so silly. I know how much you love artillery, Josh. What if I told you it's artillery that doesn't come from above?
No, that is fun.
They shoot a shell into the ground that burrows its way to the opponent and then explodes up from beneath them.
And Johnny, look, he's got the little dude carrying the artillery shell. It's so cute.
These are very cute models. How does this translate in game? You were caught off guard. Have a battle shock test with -1. Oh, that was very disappointing to see.
My notes are very negative.
Oh. Their other ability is that twice a game you can have a round of reroll wound rolls, which is handy, but at the end of the day you have breach ordnance and tremor shells. While they have heavy, probably aren't moving with their 4-inch move and their 36-inch and 24-inch range. You essentially get to choose between like a big high strength 2 damage attack or a few more shots at a lower strength and a lower damage. But surprisingly, all of this doesn't lead them to have close combat weapon. They do still get a melee profile.
What part of the unit do you think's got the plasma picks?
Mate, it's the Chthonians.
I know, I'm just being silly.
They're still just the same dwarves, which I think is so strange to me. It's like you have the Cthonian Beserkers, and then you have these guys, because they're just the miners. I feel like the Chthonians getting an entire detachment, 2 very unique units, and no character is a problem.
Yes, it is.
It seems like they took what they wanted to be a pretty big display of one of the different sub-factions within the Votann, and half-assed it.
Thank you. Half-assed is exactly how I feel about Chthonians.
Give me your takes.
Oh, alright, this is my notes. I'm reading it word for word. These guys need to stand still.
Yes.
They have limited range on the better weapon.
Yep.
They move only 4 inches.
Yep.
They cost 110 for 2 artillery weapons, relying on battle shock for an ability, and the other ones are limited time usage reroll wound roll on a AP1 weapon. That's if you're wanting to do the bigger damage is strength 10, and you're re-rolling that one. What? At least it looks fun.
As I said, the model is very nice, but man, did they let them down in the data sheet.
They barely squeezed into a passing mark for me, mate.
Oh, how bad is it?
C- for Cthono.
Cthono. Ick.
Nah, I strongly dislike this data sheet. Not the model. I think it's very cool, but this has not sold me. On its own merits, I'm sure its Detachments got some love to give, but on its own merits, I don't know.
Why I wanted to smash it out of the way. So, that leaves us with the dual kit build for the Ironkin Steeljacks.
The Men of Iron are here.
We finally got robots.
Finally got the AI robots, yay!
I'm a little disappointed in one key thing. To start with, why did they call them the Ironkin Jacks with heavy Vulcanite disintegrators, or the Ironkin Steeljacks with melee weapons? Surely they had a better name they could have used.
You know what's funny is that the Ironkin Steeljacks, they could also have a longer name. Ironkin Steeljacks with heavy Vulcanite disintegrators or Autok pattern bolters and plasma sword. But that seems a bit wordy.
Yeah, for sure. And for that reason, are you ever going to take the bolters? It's in the name, right?
Well, it's the Thane. The Thane gets, or the Sergeant gets the bolter and the plasma sword. But why, in a unit of 3 models, are you giving up 1 gun, considering their ability is Overwatch, for a fucking sword, when there's a whole unit that's meant to carry swords?
I totally agree. You're just running these guys with the disintegrators and the plasma sword. Oh, the plasma knife, sorry. But, boyo, how do you feel about overwatching on 4s?
I really like.
What if I told you it's only half the time? The rest it's 5s.
You see this, like, purge response via Overwatch. On 4s, sometimes. You're like, oh yeah, okay, well, you know. It's 18 shots. Mathematically, 9 of them goes through. Strength 6, depending on what you're shooting in Overwatch, you know, you're probably wounding on, like, 3s. Okay, so, you know, like, maybe 6 to 7 of those wounds are successful. Or maybe 1 or 2 are dev wounds. Okay, that's 1 damage. Oh, it's AP1, I just saved it. Why the fuck did I just Overwatch? You know?
Yeah. That's definitely the feel. Like, they already hit on 4s, normally.
Yeah, right?
You just kind of feel like you're fishing for dev wounds yet again. I do like the if you're shooting at someone on an objective, your critical wounds have precision. That is nice, but that's such a small thing comparatively. On the flip side, you get the with melee weapons profile for the same cost, and these are your concussion gauntlets or plasma swords, and they just get the bolter. They have the same war gear for the precision on objectives, but they give out battle shock tests. Oh, sorry, no, they don't give out battle shock tests.
Desperate Escape.
They give Desperate Escape if they're already battle shocked. It just gives a -1.
So you need them to be battle shocked. They then need to be wanting to fall back in the first place. If you're playing good sportsman, you'll be letting your opponent know that there's a Desperate Escape test coming in at -1, and your opponent will just be like, you know what? Never mind.
They'll be like, how much damage do you do? Oh, 1 to 2. I'll stay here, it's fine.
I don't know, Johnny.
I wanted these guys to be so good, but on their own, real disappointing.
I think 3 of them as a unit with a bigger profile to be hitting. They don't have invulns either. They're basically an expansion of the whole Brokhyr aesthetic and play style, which is fine. 3 wounds is good. The Iron Master can heal them, but they can't resurrect them, as we've already established. I'm just a little soft on these guys, you know?
What if I told you they can be better?
Oh, and how can they, Johnny?
Before I tell you how, what are your ratings for these guys?
Look, Steeljacks with the heavy Vulcanites definitely have a bit of a deterrent, because Purge Response plus Preymark Crest, you can, critical wound, combined precision, combined dev wound. You can fish to get a character out of a unit that's coming towards you, and that's fun. I don't mind that. I would love the heavy Vulcanite Disintegrators to be a little better for the fact they are called heavy Vulcanite Disintegrators and they're a piddly 6/1/1. But I can't be mad at their roll. I give them a B for Bro Sagitaur Robot.
Alright.
Melee weapon dudes. I'm not convinced on their melee output over the Hearthguard, but they are a bit cheaper. You could magnetize them for various loadouts pretty easily, which is fine. They don't seem as potent as the ranged fellows, and their ability is just a bit of a non-thing in my opinion.
Yep.
I was going to give them a C+, but for the joke, I want to give them a B- for Blade Guard amateurs.
Yep. For the purpose of our next part, we're going to pretend the melee weapons don't exist, because they're just the worst of the 2 options. You've got, for these points, just get some Beserks. They might be squishy, but at least I'll get something dead, you've got other options there. But for 45 extra points, how do you feel about yield point generation and that Fire Overwatch now being free?
I love it. I'm here for it. Who cares if it doesn't even have a weapon? That's good.
The Memnyr Strategist, 45 points, is probably my second favorite datasheet in this entire army right now. Because he just gives 2 very important things, being the ability to mess with which of the modes you're in, and a free Overwatch on your 4-ups. I love this guy. I think he's great. I don't know about you, but I think this guy is fantastic compared to what we've got elsewhere.
I like him a lot.
Glad you agree.
I can't fault him.
Yeah.
I can't fault him. And he's so drippy. He's my favorite model in the whole faction.
He's a pretty cool looking model. If only he had a gun. Or a weapon.
I wish those floating orbs were not computers, or were computers but also
had guns in them or something, and then he gets 3 pistol shots instead of 1.
Imagine they were frickin' laser beam computers.
Yeah, right? No, this guy's cool. I like this guy.
Yeah, what? 45 points for altering the whole YP economy and free stratagems to easily activate the intended role of the Ironkin? Perfection, who cares about the weapons? A+ for a friggin' genius.
On top of this, just to add in, you do get to put enhancements on this guy, which means that it gives you a way to add enhancements to your Ironkin, just to try and amplify that as much as possible. Memnyr Strategist, real good.
Real good. Love it.
But, what if you want a gun?
Do I? Do I want a gun, Mr. Robotnik?
This is going to be my favorite datasheet of the entire edition for these guys, as we talk about the Arkanyst Evaluator.
Hot diggity dog. What a dude.
What the fuck did they do to this guy's gun?
I can't get over his default head. But yes, the gun. Oh,
This is the
holy moly.
stupidest looking bloody old-timer mad scientist trope given Back to the
So
Future crap. But hot damn, how do you
love it.
feel about 3 attacks with a 2-up ballistic skill, 8 damage, 3 AP, 3 damage, or 8 strength, 3 AP, 3 damage, with rapid fire 3.
Pretty good. And then if you spend a YP,
You can also give him
get
sustained
sustained hits.
hits 1,
and if he kills someone, you get 2 back instead of the 1 you just spent.
but then your hazardous check is on a 1, 2, or 3.
No, thank you. Holy moly. The evaluator is quite something.
He survives the first hazardous fail, and you can give him lone op as long as he is near a Leagues of Votann infantry model. And I think it's hilarious that they gave him Deadly Demise 1 because his gun blows up. But
Yeah.
hot damn, and you don't have to go the full overcharge. You could lower the range and go AP 2 damage with still having rapid fire 2 and just regular hazardous.
That doesn't seem as fun, though.
Yeah, like the fact that they were just like, how big a shot can we make and how risky can it get? I love this guy. I think this guy is going to be fantastic. He's going to be so stupid.
He's so cute. With his hat on.
But he definitely needs a head swap.
He has a helmet option.
Oh, perfect. That's all I've ever asked for is a helmet option
It's
in
a
every
bubble
box.
helmet.
Oh. Yeah, but it's not a bad bubble helmet. It's an okay bubble helmet.
It's a fabric bubble helmet.
Yeah, it's okay. Doesn't have to be fabric, alright? Just paint it with some metallic.
So, the Arkanyst evaluator makes me wish they had more characters. This dude is obviously representing the Science Guild to an extent, the whole Brokhyr thing.
Yep.
But then it makes me think, well, they got the Strategist, they got the evaluator, they're so cool. Where's the Chthonian guy?
Yep.
Where's some other guys? Where's a Hernkyn lieutenant or something? You know? Where's some other dudes to activate other sub-elements of this army like how Kahl's and Einhyrs do? Where are they?
That is the real question. Where are they?
But the evaluator is very fun. I love him.
He's hilarious.
But I don't. At the same time, I don't love him for 75 points. He's more expensive than the Einhyr champion.
Doesn't play well with others.
Yeah, he's in lone ops, which is fine, but he's 5-inch movement. He doesn't get assault on his gun. What if you really need to, get out there, hop on them objectives? He might be just left behind. For 75 points, he can be cleaned up pretty easily.
Stick him in a transport, dude.
I know, but I'm just thinking 75 points for this guy. As fun as he is, I don't want to take him at that value.
Make me sad.
He just might not transmutate the resources reliably as well.
There is also that, but for a fun gun...
If it's 50 points or something, I would take 3 of them. Why not?
It's the problem, right? At what point does he go from being a maybe pick to the god pick that is in every list? At 75 points, how much cheaper can you realistically make that gun?
Well, the gun doesn't scream that good for 75 points. I mean, it can be, but it's not guaranteed. There's no dev wounds or lethal hits or anything like that. You're just banking on them failing saves.
Or not having them, right?
Or not having them. Look, he works wonderfully for finishing something off that hasn't died yet. He's got a pretty decent range on his overcharged inverter. He can get you 2 yield points for finishing off something. If there's a unit or 2 that are pretty wounded, and there's got a couple of models or a couple of wounds left, this guy will probably do the job. And you'll get yield points, and you'll feel really good about yourself. And then you kill him with the overcharge.
Hey, remember, he survives the first overcharge.
And then what happens if someone throws a grenade at him?
You're not wasting a grenade on that at that point. You're just going to shoot him with a bolter.
Or what about, mortal wound charges or something like that? He's so easy to just deal with.
Yeah, but it's going to be real funny.
But yeah, no, I really do like him. I think he's really neat and has that whimsical flair that I want to see more of from this faction. But at his price point, I just can't do it.
Fair. That leaves us with one more dude to talk about.
Mr. Cover Art himself.
Buri Aegnirssen, which I probably butchered that.
Aegnirssen.
You thought the last guy didn't play well with others. How do you feel about Lone Op and Stealth?
This guy plays well with others. He shows up to save the day. It's just unfortunately he's the sole survivor.
Yeah, this guy is really good, but he is 110 points for a Lone Op Stealth character with a melee profile and basically no ranged.
What do you mean? He's got a bolt pistol, 401.
It's really weird in this army to picture dude on his own, gets up when he dies, and has a vengeance move when he's shot. And this guy goes berserk better than berserkers, because it's d6 plus 2 movement.
Yeah, very fun.
On top of that, he has a hell of a sword.
Mr. Buri and Bane, hey?
How do you feel about a strike profile with precision that is 5 attacks on 2s, 12 strength, 3 AP, 3 damage? It's
like
the
it a
melee
lot.
version of the last guy we spoke about with none of the risks.
I like him a lot. What do you need strength 12 to precision out, though?
A Chaos Knight.
They run solo, though.
I know. That old One Eye when he's running in his Carnifex brood.
True. Dude hates nids.
Or any toughness 6 character that's leading Terminators.
Yeah, that's what you chuck him in for. You know why this dude hates Tyranids, by the way?
Because they killed everything except him. He was the lone survivor.
He's from the squats.
Yep.
Fun times. Look, I like Buri. I like him. He looks sick. His little Dark Star glaive looks sick.
He has a very cool model.
Yeah, I would consider him like nice and safe until perhaps Fortified Takeover is in effect to further boost the defensive profile of him, because whilst he will murder make his way into a fight, he is still 110 points, and you probably want him for more than 1 to 2 fights.
Yeah.
I would think. But I really like his murder making, his unhinged vengeance into engagement on your opponent's turn. Like if they shoot him because he's getting close and he's a big scary boogeyman.
Hold on, he ain't that big.
True. But, he hops into melee on your opponent's turn, which means they're going to go to ongoing fights, but he fights first.
Sure does. And then he chops them to pieces.
And just pray they don't invuln spike and then clap his squat cheeks in return.
I mean, he does still have a 4-up invuln, so he has got that going for him. If they are shooting him, that means they're within lone op range. He is at -1 to shoot, and there's a good chance he's getting there with an up to 8-inch move, potentially. Like, you just run this guy to the front line and let them shoot him, right? And just pray he survives.
I think they did really well designing his kit.
Yeah.
Imagine if the dude had Feel No Pain, though.
He should. It'd be nice.
Considering he's been, eaten by, nids several times.
Poor bloke. But that's the datasheets. What do you got for a rating for him?
I gave him a B for being a bladed ball.
Fair.
He doesn't sell me, but he is very fun. Bs is a good ranking for me. Bs are you can take them, and you won't feel bad for taking them.
This whole Codex kind of feels like a B, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of Bs that came out, except the Hernkyns.
There's nothing amazing. There's some cute, fun stuff, but for the most part, it's pretty alright.
Pretty alright is a good summary, yes.
What was the next step in our path to yields?
Path to yielding these points. We can talk about the detachments if you'd like. We don't have to be, too nitty-gritty about them, considering we're running a bit long here. But we can still go through and sort of sell their shticks. We have 5 detachments, I believe.
Yep.
What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plus the Grotmus one, which is good, I think.
You ready for the shortest detachment rule in history?
Need guard.
Need guard Oathband with their martial leverage. Each time an enemy unit is destroyed, you gain 1 YP.
Oh, hey, look, it's an army rule boosting detachment.
You know what they say, gotta get them dollars.
And all the enhancements look like they give you more as well.
Or the ability to spend them. So, like, Oathbound Speculator is 30 points, but it gives reroll wound rolls of 1, or you can spend 3 YP, and you also get to add 1 to your wound rolls.
So how many Memnyr strategists do you want, and how many Kahls?
Like, it's so much YP. Considering you're generating 4 from your army rule, that's almost your entire turn's worth of YP. You're staying in the first area, unless you are killing a lot.
Which you might.
You sure might. You've got Dead Reckoning at 10 points, which is, if you spent no YP that turn, you gain an extra one. So maybe good on, like, turn 1 or 2. If you want to, like, save up for a big war turn, you've got the Iron Ambassador for 5 points, which only affects Autok pattern combi bolters, but it does allow you...
Oddly specific.
Yeah, but it does allow you to spend up to 3 YP, and until the end of the phase, add the number of YP you spent to the damage characteristic of the bearer's ranged attacks.
Einhyr champion go off.
Yeah, right? This is the I'm gonna shoot you in the face, and it's gonna hurt.
Iron within. Hold on a minute.
Wrong army.
Whoops.
And then you've got the Ancestral Crest. Once per turn, when you perform the command reroll stratagem with this unit, you can spend a YP and reduce the CP cost by 1. So you can get a free command reroll for $1 of your points. This is your bread and butter detachment. This is your, I want my army rule to work, I want to get some dollars, and I want to spend it. Even the stratagems focus around, like, the stuff you kind of see as bread and butter stuff. We have Void Hardened, which is Armor of Contempt.
There's always one!
You've got a shooting phase sustained hits, or if you spend money, you can get sustained hits too. You've got rerolling hit rolls and wound rolls of 1 in the shooting phase. You know, just like some very basic general stuff.
Yeah, nothing too memorable, but all things you won't be mad to have.
Yeah.
This was your pick of detachment, wasn't it?
I did choose this detachment more because I just wanted that, like, bread and butter. I wanted to have access to Armor of Contempt. And, like, some general dollary dues. I wanted to really see what this army rule could do. Because the army rule does seem very fun and useful.
It is very good, yes. Yeah.
Did you want me to give you my list now, or do you want me to come back to it?
Why don't we just get it out of the way since we're already at the need guard, hey?
Sure. I am running 6 characters in my list.
Nice.
It's a lot of characters.
Feels that way.
So, we start with the only epic hero I have in the list, which is Uthar the Destined.
Good boy!
Sticking him with some Hearthkyn Warriors, because you gotta have your Hearthkyn Warriors.
Of course.
We have one of the Arkanyst Evaluators, because I couldn't not include it.
Only one, Johnny?
Only one, because I put 2 Memnyr Strategists in.
Hell yeah.
Because we weren't missing out on that. And I gave one of them an enhancement for Oathbound Speculator, which is the reroll wound rolls of 1, and the potential to also add 1 to wound rolls. On top of that, I have a Brokhyr Ironmaster, because I do have some Thunderkyn, and I had to give them someone to lead, and an Einhyr champion, which I gave the Iron Ambassador enhancement, which is the increasing the damages, because I wanted to let him go big as well. And that rounds out my characters.
Wonderful.
From there, it was a case of pairing up leaders and then adding a few extra things to keep everything running. So, as I said before, we've got 10 Hearthkyn Warriors. We have 2 Thunderkyn squads, one with the Graviton and one with the Conversion Beamer.
Big squads or little squads?
Just little squads. Just to see how they go. I've got 5 Hearthguard to go with the champion, and I've got 10 Hernkyn Yaegirs along with the carrier to split them.
Oh, yeah.
Because I do like infiltrators and having a bunch of dudes running around with shotguns. Yeah.
Do you like infiltrators, John?
Yeah. Yeah. Then to go with the strategists, we have 2 maxed out 6 squads of Ironkin Steeljacks with the Volkite Disintegrators.
Oh my gosh.
We are picking where our Overwatch is happening, and we are going big on it. And from there, I rounded it out with mounted and vehicles. So I did grab some Pioneers, because those datasheets are insane, as much as I hate the look of them. We got a Defender to go with our Carrier. Just one, though, because I also had to include nearly 500 points of Land Fortresses.
Oh.
As I put 2 in the list.
Oh.
Both with the Spectral Scanner, because I don't care about your one-shots. One with the Magna Rail Cannon, and one with the Heavy Conversion Beamer. And that's 1990 points of Leagues of Votann.
Wow. It feels like a pretty sizable list, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a bit of everything pretty much, yeah. I wanted to try out some stuff, and just see how this army rule kind of mingles with everyone. So it's kind of like a bit of everything.
I like it. A bit of everything is nice and reliable.
Yeah. And, you can buy the Combat Patrol, or you can buy, the Battle Force if that's what you want, and kind of get a lot of what's here and work towards it. I wanted to have that as an option in the future if, it's something someone's interested in.
There it is. Chthonian Prospect, the new Battle Force.
It is focused on the Chthonians, which I didn't.
Interesting force, that one.
Yeah, which is why I leaned closer to the Combat Patrol if someone wanted to start with.
Yep.
Because the Votann Combat Patrol comes with your Hearthguard. It comes with, a couple of the Brokhyr Thunderkyn. It comes with some Warriors and the Champion. So it's most of the basic infantry side of things all rolled into one box.
Cool. Great. Would you like us to move along to our
Sure.
next detachment now?
Let's do it. What do you got for me?
This is the one I thought you were going to go with, funnily enough. The Persecution Prospect, the Hernkyn-focused detachment. This relies on a lot of board control elements to its game plan. The rule is assailed from every angle. This reminds me a lot of the older Genestealer Cult's crossfire mechanics, where you want a couple of units to be shooting the same target. This Guerrilla Adepts trait stacks these multiple shooting angles into creating an assailed and then a pinned condition for your opponent target. While that unit is pinned, having been shot by a couple of your units, they have reduced move characteristics and reduced charge rolls. So that's very important if versing really fast armies like Emperor's Children, World Eaters, Orcs. That's going to be quite a good little safety buffer for your Votann. But it doesn't offer too much if you're versing, say, a gun line. Regardless, this Persecution Prospect isn't entirely Hernkyn focus. You can still bring other things.
Of course.
But you do have some enhancements that, similarly, if you're attacking an assailed unit, add one to the wound roll. That's the Eye for Weakness enhancement. There's a lot of things that rely around the assailed condition and the pinned conditions. For example, you can gain yield points if you are attacking assailed units, the Writ of Acquisition that's called, and things of that nature. The stratagems have a relatively broad focus, but it's definitely focusing on Hernkyns and transports nonetheless. For example, if you are attacking an assailed unit, or it says if you're a Hernkyn unit, you can re-roll the hit roll. So either attack an assailed target or be a Hernkyn is how that stratagem works. Ranger tactics. Another one can be exposed flaws. So if you are a Hernkyn unit and you are selecting that unit to shoot with, you can spend yield points. You can re-roll the wound roll. So it does help Hernkyns punch up. But then one of my favorite stratagems in this is Adaptable Avarice.
Ah, yes. I was going to mention this one.
If your army is in Fortified Takeover, you can target one of your characters to spend your yield points, and then all of a sudden you're into hostile acquisition now. So, depending on how your shooting phase went, for example, if you're getting ready for some charges, you think that's what you need to do to keep the
pressure on.
the pressure, the tempo going in your favor. You could just spend this 1 CP, spend some of your yield points, and hop into hostile acquisition to guarantee the charge rolls. That's pretty cool. But yeah, definitely extreme board control detachment. Yield points are still available if focusing on your sort of target prioritization. It's a little bit Tau, a little bit Gene Sealer culty, if you're familiar with how they play. But then, of course, there are other things such as reactive moves, stealth, that kind of stuff, just to help keep your units that are moving quite fast around the battlefield a bit safer.
Yeah, no, I definitely considered this as an option. I just didn't want to put too many eggs in one basket. I really wanted to try out as much as possible. I think this is a good detachment though. If you are familiar with strategy and gameplay and can get an idea of where you can position things to get your shooting lanes.
But that's all I really have to say about that without, then just repeating all the other enhancements and stratagems that I haven't talked about yet, but we get the gist.
Yeah. So that brings us to the Delve Assault Shift with the Fury from the Delve. This is your Chthonian detachment. It specifically buffs your Berserkers in 2 interesting ways. It gives Berserks battle line and gives them deep strike, which when you're trying to protect these guys because they only have 1 wound, this could be the way to go about it if you want to lean into that artillery and melee profile. There's not too much to say about this one in my opinion. It's got some fun stuff in there. It's that stupid E. They've got that little apostrophe up above the E that gets me every time.
The umlaut?
The umlaut. But yes, you've got the Delvework Navigator, which allows you to bring some of your dudes back at the cost of yield points. You've got the Quake Supervisor, if you want to give one of your characters loan up when they're near an artillery. He also buffs the artillery, giving them +1 to hit.
Beautiful.
Which, let's be real, you're already getting that if you're shooting someone on your objective.
Or if you're standing still.
Yeah. It's just another way to get a non-stacking buff. But if you really need to be hitting on 4s instead of 5s, then okay, sure. You've got a couple of different stratagems to buff your Berserkers and even your Earthshakers. Tectonic Fracture allows you to protect your Earthshakers from charges by giving -2 to move and -2 to charge on someone that they've shot. It's pretty cool. You've got extra pile-ins and consolidates. You've got a -1 to wound roll, incoming wound rolls in the shooting phase, as long as you're in hostile acquisition. It's interesting, but when realistically it's only benefiting 2 of your units in the entire codex, do you really have enough to play this and make it worthwhile?
Yeah, I can't imagine many people would be so firmly into
Chthonians, especially when none of them have a character that can lead. You don't even have a dedicated character for this detachment.
And that's where I feel like it's really let down.
Yeah.
Even the enhancements feel a little bit wishy-washy in how they're written.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little bit expanded in the word count just to be able to do something when it could just easily be a Chthonian Mason or something like that.
Yeah.
Put it on, a Chthonian shift manager or something. But there are some fun ones. There's uppy downy, there's larger pile-ins. So this is kind of leaning into your melee phases with a little bit of board reposition rather than board control, which can work, but I think it's just too much setup, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. That takes us to the detachment I believe you created a list around. The Breakfast Oats Band.
The Breakfast Oats Band. Gotta get those oats.
Kahl and friends.
With Karl's and his friends. Yeah, so Brandfast Oath Band. We've had Hernkyns, we've had Chthonians, we're now having vehicles. Specifically transports.
Which they have a few, honestly. When you really think about it, you've got 3 different transports to choose from.
Sure do. And each of those transports give the exact same aura ability, which is a sustain hits 1 if within 6 inch of the transport, because they are a fire base. This is focusing around the fact that the vehicles have all just charged in, create a little campsite, and everyone's getting in and out to use them as little houses, and at the same time they're getting sustained hits.
Yep.
Enhancements are fun. Got a couple more of those resource things, such as Tactical Alchemy, 10 points, put on a Kahl. Spend a yield point on a 4+, it becomes a CP instead.
Which is really weird. You have to spend a yield point, then roll a die, and maybe get a CP.
Yeah, it's definitely something mitigated by the fact that you can generate extra yield points relatively reliably with certain characters, but at the same time...
Very specific location you need to be as well, because you also have to be on an objective that's not in your deployment zone.
You have a couple of other things, like Percussive Judgment. Kahl gives his Overwatch
on 5s for free.
Yeah, which, it's okay, but at that point you just want to bring Ironkin. The Trivarg cyber implant is very fun, though, and I'll get into how I used it soon.
Okay.
You can spend yield points to give your unit sustained hits 2.
Nice.
If it disembarked from a transport. Keyword, if it disembarked.
Yep.
The stratagems are similarly a little mixed, like a couple of them are mixed, targeting infantry and the like, but it really is focusing around the transport stuff, with 2 of the stratagems actually one of them mentioning a Hekaton land fortress by name, another one targets like all the various transports. For example, Vengeance Flare 2 CP after an opponent has shot, one of your infantry mob. If there's a nearby transport, you can pick it. If you want to do a Hekaton, you need to actually spend the yield points. Otherwise, you could pick a Kapricus or a Sagitaur, but that transport can just shoot back. And if you are spending the yield points for a Hekaton land fortress to shoot back, that's pretty good.
Yeah. For 2 YP, that's pretty damn good.
I mean, it's 2 CP and 2 YP, so it's a bit like, it can really turn the tide to have a 240-point brick just shoot back.
Yeah.
Especially if you're running things like the Conversion Beamer or the Cyclic Ions, where you get a bit more shots.
I'm also a big fan of the Bastion running, which lets your Hekaton land fortress move through terrain features.
It sure does.
And the opportunistic escalation that allows your Votann vehicles, excluding the land fortress that's been shot at, get a D6-inch move.
Yeah, when it comes to vehicles, I'd be hoping for like D6 plus something, though.
Yeah, or even just 6.
Or even just 6. Yeah. Otherwise, like a couple of things such as like disembarking, manipulation, fallback, and shoot, that kind of normal stuff by now. But yeah, no, it's fun. I think the transports is a good angle to lean into with how many good transports there are in this particular faction. It's not just rhinos. Oh boy.
Yeah, I feel like this detachment is probably the one that will see the most like competitive play, as it gives you keywords. A lot of the other armies that have a detachment focusing around transports and getting in and out tend to do fairly well in tournaments. So I imagine this will have some results in the next couple of weeks coming through.
Yep, I have just dropped you my army in our little Discord chat.
Oh, did
if
you?
If you'd like to have a visual representation of my force. My list is very similar to yours, actually. I also went with a bit of everything.
Yep.
But in terms of playing to the detachment itself, I have got 4 transports. 2 of them are Hekatons. 2 of them are Sagitaurs. The idea is to be a little bit aggressive with them, but also thinking a little bit about just firepower. One of my Hekaton land fortress is carrying an Iron Master that has the Trivarg cyber implant. He is leading 6 Brokhyr Thunderkyn. The idea is they get out, they have conversion beamers. Now, their conversion beamers crits on 4s for lethal hits, but what if they're also critting for sustained hits too, Jonny? Exactly.
Spicy.
Say less, yes. Another Hekaton land fortress. This one I'm a little unsure about, but it's got a Memnyr strategist leading an Ironkin Steeljack with Vulcanites to sort of shore up a flank that I'm expanding into with the whole Overwatch thing. Because my list had 45 points left over by the time all was said and done, I added a second Memnyr strategist who was going to be actually on his own, kept in the transport for whenever he needs to do me an objective or hop on an extra point for yield points.
Yeah, fair. Yep.
I have 2 Sagitaurs that will have to be breaking Hearthkyn Warriors in half. The idea is that the more limited half will sort of stay around the back and do stickies and secure assets and cleanses and stuff like that. One half will be led by Uthar the Destined, and he's going to help to discount CP in the little fire base in the middle of the board. Another one's going to have a Grimnyr leading them for helping the Ironkyns push into a new flank with the Feel No Pains. And there's another Brokhyr Ironmaster with the 5-point enhancement to regen an additional wound. He's going to go with one of the other halves left behind because he, with his Iron Assistant, will not fit in a Sagitaur's 6 infantry capacity.
Yeah, the assistant. Yep.
Yeah, the assistant brings it over the line, whereas Grimnyr, his tokens are both 0 for transport capacity.
Yep.
So the Brokhyr Ironmaster will run up alongside another half of the Warrior squad to help heal up the transports as they inevitably get shot.
Inevitably.
I have, like you, with the Combat Patrol, a champion and a Hearthguard in a Deep Strike. The idea is probably to Deep Strike them nearby a Land Fortress or a Sagitaur for sustained hits if these transports are getting some melee pressure, so that the Einhyrs still get sustained hits on their melee.
Yep.
I think that works. No, range weapons, but they have guns as well. So, why not? They're a pretty good beat stick nonetheless.
Yeah, they're good as a defensive piece.
Yeah, I have a smattering of the Hernkyns as well, Yaegirs, Pioneers, and a Kapricus defender. I actually started my list by going with what I felt was an auto-include bunch, 2 Sagitaurs, 2 Hearthkyn Warriors, Yaegirs, Pioneers, and then just built from there.
Yeah.
And that's what I got.
Nice, dude. I like it.
Thanks.
Seems like fun.
No Chthonians.
No Chthonians.
No Chthonians. Now, I'm surprised at the next detachment. Hernkyns I know you like, but the Hearthfyre Arsenal, I'm surprised wasn't your pick for who it's actually boosting.
Yeah, it was the other potential option. There's some good detachments. Yeah. If I was to focus on one way or the other, then obviously we would lean into one of the other detachments. But we have the optimal application. At the end of the command phase, you gain a yield point for each objective marker you control that is not in your deployment zone and has an Ironmaster or Strategist on it, to a maximum of 2 extra yield points. In your shooting phase, each time a Brokhyr, Ironkin, or Arkanyst evaluator is selected to shoot, you can spend an yield point for reroll hit rolls of 1. If I ended up with 3 Arkanyst evaluators, you better believe I'm here.
At 50 points each. Do it.
Oh, making me hard.
You're welcome.
This is your Robot and Friends detachment. You have the Face Strider node to give Deep Strike to either your Ironmaster or Memnyrs, who can be leading your robots or Thunderkyn. You've got extra objective control. It's fine.
Is it? Is it just fine?
It's fine.
It's alright.
I do like the Mantle of Elders. Means that when you use your faction rule, you've got a chance to get YP back. So it essentially makes it free. I just wasn't sold on this detachment. It just felt like a lot of not enough.
I think that really comes down to the fact that the units themselves are pretty cool, but they still need the rest of the toys to actually function effectively.
For sure. I think this could be very good with a couple more units thrown in the mix.
An Ironkin Dreadnought.
I do like the idea of First Concern, which allows you to move to a normal move in your shooting phase if you didn't move beforehand, so you can use your big heavy weapons and then move afterwards. I do like that.
I'm a fan of delayed fire rounds. So it's a shooting phase stratagem. After one of the key units shot, then one of the enemy units hit by one of those attacks until the start of your next shooting phase. Each time the enemy unit makes a normal, advance, or fallback, roll a d6 for each model in that unit, and for each one, that unit suffers 1 mortal to a max of 6. That's a lot of damage.
On a 1, if they move. But it is also maybe they don't move, in which case you're getting a benefit out of it there too.
Yeah. On a 1's a really odd caveat, but if they are moving and then advancing. And if they are a big unit, then maybe it helps to offset the lower damage than I would have expected from like Steeljacks.
There's also Preventative Purge, which allows you to shoot at someone who falls back from you. And also like the Cogitated Need, which allows you to do a normal move in your opponent's movement phase if it gets you on like closer to an objective. There's some cool stratagems in amongst here that do some neat stuff. There's a lot of like getting up the board, slowing your opponent down sort of vibes.
Bit of extra chip damage, yeah.
It's a cool detachment. It's just lacking some oomph, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
That's the 5 in the book. Very quick mention of the Grotmus detachment that came out last Chrissy. It came out before all those Wave 2 units like the Ironkin and the Memnyrs and stuff came out. It's called the Hearth Band. It makes Kahl's and Hearthguards really good. It makes them reroll wound rolls of 1 within engagement range, and it improves AP by 1 if it's those particular units.
And as long as you're shooting the closest eligible target.
Yeah. And the stratagems focus around things like sustained hits, wider pile-ins, better saves, a little bit of extra damage, that kind of stuff. So it just makes your elites a bit more elite. But that's about it. You know, it's there, it works. It doesn't really affect other units that have come out since, which is a common complaint from Grotmus for factions that have had expansions this year. But realistically, every detachment that the Votann seem to have focuses on a very specific element, except for the Need Guard. So why not?
But also, we're getting Grotmus, hopefully, again, like, a little over a month, so...
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
We'll see. I said hopefully. I believe we should wrap this up with a quick mention of their Crusade supplement, which is a resource gathering base builder built into your Warhammer 40k, where you're going to be gathering certain supplies each game and using them to build up buffs that can buff your forces. But it is all like out of game effects, like getting extra minerals and using requisitions multiple times, getting extra experience, like this sort of stuff. And then collecting rare resources to upgrade those things into even better ones.
There's a contract system as well, isn't there?
Yeah, there's also like a kind of like agendas where you have to like do a certain agenda or something like that and you get an extra reward. And you can get contracts to try and get those rare resources to upgrade your base. But without going too deep into it, like go have a read and see what you think if it's something you're interested in. But that is the general gist of it is, you know, you're the gathering mining alliance that's making deals within itself and building up this empire.
Yeah, and the battle traits unique to the Votann. There's a couple of, you know, your kind of keyword additions and tweaking your stats a bit, but there are a couple of things that will improve. Hostile acquisition and fortified takeover buffs for your specific units. There's a lot of like fun flavor, as there usually is, around, you know, like grudges and refining the cores and weapons smithing. So if you really like fluff techs, there's a lot of that good stuff. The relics are always pretty fun. A lot of weapons in this one, actually.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Murmuring Stave relic for Grimnyrs, which allows you to take an additional agenda, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm also just want to let everyone know, like, one of the battle traits, infantry, is that the unit will always have the hostile acquisition buff, even when it's in fortified takeover, which I think is really cool.
Wonderful.
Cool.
There's a couple of others for infantry that play around with that too. But yeah, go read it yourself, have a bit of fun.
Yeah. Alright, well, that just about wraps up Codex Votann.
Codex Votann. What do you think after this not-so-brief exploration of Votann, Johnny?
There's some fun stuff in there, but I believe overall, I don't think it's stand out in recent times, but it's fine. It's good.
I'm pretty impressed with the variety they've managed to achieve with just 2 release waves.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit concerned that now that they've done 2 release waves quite close together, there will be some time before they get even more units, which isn't a bad thing. You know, you got to spread the love. But there's definitely a few lacking aspects of their force, and depending on what, you know, rules changes we get in the next year or two, they might feel a little bit like shoehorned into still some of the old tricks, if you get what I mean. There's a bit of lacking support, as we've alluded to a couple of the flavors, mainly the Chthonians, IMO. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think overall it's a big step up from their old army rule, from the index. So yeah, no, it's a good step in the right direction.
Yep, I would love to see what a lot of people in the Votann, Reddits and communities like to sort of theory craft in Kit Bash, which is a lot of like war walkers, dreadnoughts, battle suits, exosuits, that kind of aesthetic, and bring some heavier firepower that's not just on 6 wheels.
Yep. Or 4
cool.
pads.
Floating outdoor fans. Do you think like the kin go up to those little fans while they're on and they talk into it like a kid talks into a fan, and it's like yield points?
No, they just turn it on its side on a hot day and just use it as an actual fan.
Yeah, well, luck has, need keeps, and toil earns, mate.
That's it.
Hey, cool. We'll catch you next time.
Catch ya.
Bye now.